Check, check. All right. Give it a few minutes. Y'all can just watch the Google Earth. Yeah, we'll just give it a few minutes. Said 9 p.m. And this is going to be a question and answer for who anybody wants it. I got a couple tips and tricks I'm going to put out based off of phone calls I got in the past 24 hours. And then I got a surprise for y'all who are paying attention on here. You'll get a gift. I'm going to leave this up too, because I know this is new, this whole live thing. I've had a bunch of people jump on within 24 hours of these things. And a lot of folks hit me up appreciating them. So I'll leave this up for after this. And, you know, there will be a double check this. All right, sorry, I can't talk with those things in my ear. I get an echo. That's why you hear my voice drag out when I put on the headsets. I ain't got that figured out yet, but I'm just making sure the audio is good, making sure this thing's all dialed in, making sure all these screens are working, make sure the chat window's working for folks that want to ask some questions. And we'll see how good internet is too tonight. My kids are in there cranking on their video games, so we'll see how this goes. Might get some lag. Yeah, we got about 5 minutes, and we'll kick this off. If anybody does jump in here during this, again, feel free. I have some bullet points I'm going to cover. I'm going to go through those, but at any time, if you have any questions about anything, just hit me up in the chat about the system, and maybe we can walk through it on here. All right, all right. Could be that. All right. I'm just setting something up real quick here. Give me about 2 minutes. That's right. All right. One last check. Check, check. Sounds good. No machines in the background. All right. All right. I'm going to put something up on the chat window here. I really need to figure out how to get the little timer countdown thing up here for the folks that come across this video later. All right. It is 9 o'clock. I'm going to kick this off. I hope everybody's having a good week. I know a ton of folks are heading down to Baja, or they're down there already. A lot of folks heading down tomorrow to start pre-running. And a lot of folks hit me up in the past 24 hours about the past couple of videos. There are a couple little questions that popped up. I saw some folks doing some things that I helped them out with. Might cover the couple of those points. But the big thing is, let's see here. There we go. The big thing is I was working on the file for the past 24 hours. So let me pull that up. So I've been working on this for the past 24 hours. And there we go. So what I've been talking about in the past two videos This is the end product. This is what you should end up with right here. As you know, the race, they don't put out the start and finish. So hopefully the past couple of videos, I know a lot of folks said they're more comfortable with it now about the merging of routes, because, you know, after you put this work in, if you pre-run, if you don't, when they finally hand out that start and finish, you're going to have to merge them into the main race route. And the past couple of videos we covered, you know, cutting the route up in the sections, merging it back together. You're going to want to do that at your driver swaps. You're going to want to do that at least once in this course, because it's so big that you want to split the route up at, you know, a good pit or a driver swap to break it up, especially when they hand out the start and finish, because the start and finish overlap. You got the routes on top of each other, and it's hard to pre-run that, and it's hard to run it when you got two overlapping routes. So if you split it, you're only going to have one queued up leaving, and then when you come back in, you'll have the finish pulled up with all the notes in it, and you won't have it cluttered with both the start and finish. So hopefully folks are getting a better understanding. Ryan W videos were good. Appreciate it. Thanks for jumping in. I just wanted to know if the chat was even working on here. A lot of folks hitting up after the videos are done. Yeah, so I put about 24 hours of work into this file. A few of our folks were hitting me up in the past 24 hours asking me. So I buckled down this morning. I started last night, late last night, and I started slamming coffee. I've been drinking coffee all day, cranking on this thing, and I got pretty much all the notes in. So I went ahead and I'll kind of show you what I did. Let's go to course notes. So I spent the past over 24 hours hand jamming in all these notes into the file. Now, there was a couple things, like I talked about in the past couple of videos, I left out a lot of dips, a lot of maybe cattle guards, fences that I could not really lock in exactly where they're at on the route. So I left those out because most people should be pre-running. I know a lot of people, or some people don't pre-run. They just go down there cold bore and run the Baja 1000. And again, that's freaking ballsy. I mean, to each his own, but hopefully you would go down there and pre-run. And, you know, stuff like that I leave out of the route file so you can actually pre-run it and mark exactly where the fence is or the pole is or the cattle guard is, versus me marking them all up here, not knowing exactly where they're at. And then while you're bouncing around, you're going to have to delete a point, drop a point. So I'm just adding what I can back home that I'm confident, you know, is in the position it's supposed to be in. There were some other parts of the course, you know, like just to kind of go through my thought process on this. Let me see. There's some sections as I was going through here that you'll see there's no VCP along a stretch, and you'll have a danger on this on the race route, but then right over here you can see on imagery another trail paralleling it and coming back in. So stuff like that where they kind of tell you to stay right, I don't put those in, because, you know, when you get the pre-run, you might figure out that other trail, that other hotline might be better. So a lot of that stuff I'll leave out. I can sit back here at home, see on the imagery where possible hotlines are. So if they put a note in there, like a stay right, I'll kind of just leave it out. If it's like obvious anyway, I'll just leave the note out, and we'll figure it out when we pre-run, and we'll put in there what we want to do. John, what's up? Thanks for jumping in. So yeah, I went through all this, marked in all the notes, all the symbols. I went ahead and marked all the blue squares with the for the VCPs, so they kind of stick out. And then if there was any corners, you know, like those deep corners with a VCP in them, I would put the VCP in the waypoint as an audio alert. You know, you'll hear that VCP hard right. So as you're coming up to it, you know there's a VCP in that corner, so you know that you go deep enough to hit it. So stuff like that, I would mark like that. I'll show you up here a common place. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I knew. Where's it at here? Hold on. Let me see here. There's a section. And I know folks that do this all the time. Again, I've only started doing this since 2014. I've been down there chasing a bunch. I've only raced it 3 times. And even with me going through this course, I've studied this enough in the past couple years that I can almost visualize the actual road that we're looking at. You know, you start to get real familiar with the areas. And I know guys have been doing this for decades. They know exactly what half this course looks like. For those that don't, you know, when I first started getting into this, I spent a lot of time on Google Earth. I mean, this is, you know, the past decade of me planning routes operational. We didn't get the pre-run. So we spent a lot of time visualizing this in programs like Google Earth. And you'll see here, this is just doing a fly through. And, you know, if you haven't been down there a lot, after you knock out the notes like this, if you load this thing up on Google Earth and let it do a fly through of your section that you're going to run, you start to get a feel for the terrain, the hills, the grades, the slopes, the off-camber turns. You'll start to see off-camber turns in this that you can come back and add that note in the Leadnav. You know, even if it's a slight left on Leadnav, you look at it on Google Earth and you see that downhill grade, and you know that can make that slight left pretty gnarly. So you might want to mark that on Leadnav. But not going down there a lot in the beginning. I spent a lot of time on here just studying this and the terrain and just the mountainous areas to get a feel for them. And then like once you know your section, you can load your notes on there and just kind of do a fly through of you can actually make a video fly through of just your section and just kind of sit there and just kind of dirt dive the course mentally before you go race it. But hopefully most folks are getting the pre-run. And we're not going to get all crazy into that Google Earth stuff. I just want to tell you that I got all the notes in how I would want them to be in here. I did not do any of the sportsman sections. I just did the main event route, but the sportsman sections are really just bypasses. What do you got, like 2 bypasses or something like that? And they're pretty tame. So based off of what we covered in the past 2 videos, if you are a sportsman person, you should be able to cut and merge those sportsman legs into this if you paid attention. So why am I telling you this? I know you know I'm going to give this to you guys. So the folks that paid attention on these past couple nights of videos, I'm going to give you this file, basically. So if you don't want to hear me ramble anymore, I already put the discount code up in the chat. I'll put it up there again. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to give this to you and you're all going to bail. I was going to wait till the end But I ain't going to be like that. If you want to stick around, stick around. I'm going to keep teaching stuff, but if you just want to grab and go, then here you can just take this and go get it. But I'm going to leave this code running. All right. So the few that are jumping in on this and have been paying attention and hit me up in the past week, you know, appreciating the videos and stuff. That code, if you, again, I'm going to leave this up for the rest of the night. It'll be up until 2 in the morning at least. This code will be active. So if you do want to stick around, you don't have to bail right now and go grab it. It'll be up for, you know, several hours going into the night that you can use this code, but you'll get this file for this prep files for free for you. Otherwise, I'm charging everybody else tomorrow. That's not on here. And what the file has, I'll just back up. Again, I just took the race route from the past couple of videos of us cleaning it up. We have the off limits sections in there in orange still. We got the single route that I went ahead and hand jammed in all the scores basic notes. This has not been pre-run at all. I still suggest you pay attention to the race meetings for any updates. Actually pre-run this file and tweak it as needed. It does not have the sportsman cuts in it, so you're going to have to add those in if you choose to go grab this file. And what else is in there? On the item in the store, I mean, you'll see it. It's up under race events on the store. But in there's a video in the description of me kind of explaining what's in that race package. But if you go to if you download the 2 maps in there, map overlays, you have a topo and a satellite that you can download. And when you go ahead and, you know, you're running around Baja, you don't have to worry about saving out your own map imagery. You can actually just select none up top. So nothing is trying to load, which is something you should be doing when you're actually racing. You should make sure that you choose that none as your map type, because you don't want all that trying to process in the background, especially when you don't have data. It's trying to pull map imagery when it doesn't need to. You want a nice blank gray background when you're actually racing. So you'll leave that up in the background and just choose none during the race. When you're pre-running, you run the satellite map imagery and everything else so you can study the terrain and get your notes. But for the actual race, we turn the maps off. But in that file in the store, if you download that, you got the race file, and it's up there in a zip and it's up there in a GPX. I don't know why I do that. They're the same thing, but sometimes it's easier to export and import the zip, and sometimes depending on your device, you can pull the GPX straight in. But then you'll see 2 MB tile files, and those are map overlays. So down here at the bottom, when you import those, you can toggle them on and off. See, if I toggle it off, it's a gray background. I toggle it on, you have a sat map in the background. And turn off, I could turn on the topo, and then you have a topo in the background. See that? Hold on, let's see. One of you already bailed. One of you all took that code and ran. Well, good on you. Let me see here. Make sure it worked. Yep. Somebody grabbed the code and ran. I see. That's all right. It's all right. Now I know it works at least. So somebody just went on and grabbed the race package for with the discount code for free. But those map overlays, you can toggle them on and off, and I put in there a 15 zoom topo of the entire race area just for kind of reference. I mean, it's enough to chase. It's enough to kind of see shadows and terrain. It's enough to see towns. It's just kind of for really driving around. And then you can go down the settings, map, and toggle that off and toggle on SAT. And SAT's just like I taught you how to save out in the app. It has 18 zoom along the course. If you go off the course, eventually you'll see it go gray like that. Because I only saved along just like you do in the app. But I have like 15 zoom and up of the entire race area as well under SAT. So this is a way that we provide imagery for like more professional folks that are a response team type folks that need certain areas saved out so they can just grab and go, like grab, load, jam their device and run out the door. It's no better than the satellite map imagery that you can get in the app and download. I'd say, you know, for some of our groups that are running like 10 units, they kind of have to sit there with 10 units saving out all their map imagery like I showed you in the other video. And the advantage of this is we can just give them the file and they can just jam it. It's not really an open thing. It's not something I can really show you how to do or anything, but it's the same imagery that you're getting in the app. It's just more convenient. It's in a file and you can toggle it on and off. And we can distribute through a team of iPads. But you can get the same imagery by just doing like I showed you, hitting the cloud icon, doing the save along route. It's the same stuff. But we just include it with the race package. So, but that's it. I put all the, that's it for the file. I put it all in there. Again, I kind of used my own judgment on what to put in there and how to put it in there. You might want to go through that and tweak it. I kind of just did it how I do it. I left out some of the slight or the stay rights, like I said, stay lefts, because I saw possible hotlines in that area. And I figure, you know, if we go pre-run it, we'll determine if we want to stay right or kind of box around a little bit. So I kind of did it how I would prefer to do it. But there's the file. All right. Anyway, what else did I want to cover? Some of the things I wanted to cover for folks. There's a lot of folks jumping in the past week that are brand new to this. And, you know, this being a big event, I know when you get down to Baja, there's like, if you didn't bring it with you, you're kind of screwed. So I just want to talk about some of the, first of all, let's talk about software. So if you're going down pre-run in the Baja 1000, you're going to be down there for multiple days. Like if you take this file with you, I showed you in the past couple of videos how to always duplicate your collection. And every night when I'm done pre-run, when you just spent like 8 hours pre-running or hell, all day pre-run, it's dark, it's late, you're ready for bed. I make sure that I share that day's work, that collection, either to my phone, another device, the Chase iPad, you know, I get it somewhere else out of the actual iPad that you're pre-running with or the iPhone. And I, on the device itself that I'm using, I'll duplicate the collection and I'll name them. I'll name it pre-run day one. Like this file I just gave you, I would rename it. If you're going to pre-run, I would name it, you know, pre-running day one. We'd go down there and take all of our notes for that day. And then I would duplicate the collection. At the end of the day, I would name it day 2 and day 3 and day 4, just in case something stupid happens and you fat finger something, or God forbid you have an accident while you're pre-running, which I've seen before. And I've seen iPads smashed. And at least you have a backup on an outside device, and then within the device you're using, you have a backup in case you fat finger something or screw something up and you just want to go back a day or back prior to lunch or however you want, you know, however you want to do it, just so you don't lose all that stuff, that work you did. So that's one thing I recommend, backing up. And then I do it too. I'll go pre-run for a week. And folks, these things are computers. And even this iPad, I'd think about it today. I was like, when's the last time that I actually shut this iPad down and restarted it? This iPad's probably been running for months. And I haven't reset it or restarted it, in months. So just like a computer, just like a laptop, what happens when you just leave a computer run for, weeks, months, memory leaks in the background, things start going bad in the background. And once in a while you need to do a good, restart, reboot. So the same thing, if you see any bugs or it acting weird or any glitches, just shut down Leadnav, wipe, double tap the home or swipe it up, close it completely, reopen Leadnav. That's your first troubleshooting thing. I saw something weird this week. Somebody hit me up on email. They could not bring up the coordinates. They could not click on the coordinates on a marker to see the coordinate window pop up. And I had him send me a video because I didn't know what he's talking about. He sent me a video of, I've never seen this glitch, this bug. I don't know how he got it to that state, but literally the HUD was up. The HUD was up and the marker dropper button was up at the same time. They were both up. I don't even know how that happened. It obviously was a bug. Something happened, or it was either that or when he installed Leadnav, it was like a corrupted install or something. That's not supposed to work like that. Or it got, again, corrupted from running forever, or something got maybe in rotation or something bugged out Leadnav. And the first thing I told him to do was just restart Leadnav, close it out, reopen it, reboot your iPad, totally shut down your iPad and restart it. And then worst case, I told him you're gonna have to back up and delete the app and reinstall. Well, I think on the, just closing the app and reopening it, I think it was fixed. So again, this is software. So if you have any bugs or it's acting weird or things are crashing, or I would say if the app is acting weird, close the app, reopen it. It's the same thing during the race day. If you see bugs or anything locking up and you're racing, just close Leadnav, reopen Leadnav, menu, run. Rerun the route, it'll fix itself. 100%. If you see things like just continuous crashes through the day, like the app's crashing out, there's something going on with the iPad or the memory, just reboot the iPad and that'll fix it. I do it every morning. I'll just kind of wake up. Again, I'll drink my coffee in the morning, make sure I duplicated the collection, make sure I backed it up. If we have Wi-Fi, I'll back it up to my Dropbox cloud. I'll put it on my phone at least. I'll put it with the Chase team on their iPad, just so I have multiple versions of what I'm doing out there in case I screw something up in the field. We've had plenty of vehicles get stolen down there with the iPad in it. So, things like that. I'll make sure that work is somewhere else. And then every morning I'll reboot the iPad, just hard reboot it, just like I would a computer, start off fresh for the day, and I won't have any issues. So that's one thing. Again, I'm just going to ramble off on some of these bullet points. If anybody is on here, has any questions, want me to cover anything. Folks were asking me about pre-run and everything else all week. So, but with the hardware, again, new folks in here, your issues are always going to be keeping the iPad charged. And heat is always a big one. Not really during the Baja 1000, mostly during the 500 in the summer. And what else? And glare, I guess. Glare would be the big one too. So those three things are always the things I hear from people. Leadnav overheats. I can't keep it charged. And I can't see its screen. Well, again, I've been doing this since 2014. And I have none of those issues. And I don't think any of my folks have any of those issues that I consult or support. And I'll tell you why they don't have issues. First, power. I'll pull this up on the store. Moto Power 3.1. It's a USB hub. You put this straight to the battery. In a UTV, it's going straight to the battery. In a trophy truck or something like that, you can wiring harness it closer to the battery. It doesn't have to be to the battery, but you want this thing darn near. You want it past all your lights, your intercoms, your everything else electrical in these rigs. And I've seen some, questionable wiring out there from some of y'all. The iPad is smart enough to see any of those spikes or bad input coming into it, and it'll go to a sleep mode where it's only taking in 1 amp. And it'll say it's charging on the screen, but if you run a voltmeter test on it, it safety moded down to like 1 amp. So literally to fix it, you have to pull the USB, plug it back in, it resets it. But if you continuously have spikes in your power, it'll just keep doing it, and it won't stay charged. During pre-running, you'll see it. During the race, you'll see it. If you put this mode of power, 3.1, direct to the battery, or damn near close to it, this thing will sit at 100% the entire race. It will never go below it. For instance, in my chase truck, the Ford diesel, I don't know why, but you got your 2 cigarette adapters in it. The one on the passenger side, I usually plug my iPad into that one. For some reason, when I turn on my diesel, it spikes the electrical enough just on that outlet that I'll be driving down the road and realize my iPad's not charging. And while I'm driving, I pull the USB, plug it back in, it'll start charging. It was during the ignition when I started it up, it spiked the iPad, and the iPad went in sleep mode or low power mode. So things like that, I see all the time, and I tell you, people over and over again, put this straight to the battery, you won't have an issue, and it will fix it if you put one of these 3.1s. We have these on our store. You can get these on Amazon. Like if you're in a rush right now, go to Amazon, you can get these. I don't really care. They're like $14 or something. And we'll run 3 of them at least per vehicle. We'll put the GPS antenna to one of them. We'll harness them together. We'll put it to the battery. We'll put the GPS antenna to one, the iPad to one, and then I usually have a backup. Or I'm running my satellite, my Iridium Go Wi-Fi, my tracking and communication device off of one. And worst case like that, the Iridium Go will run for like 24 hours without being plugged in. So I'm okay if I have to unplug that and use that plug. But the most important thing is keeping the iPad running. The GPS antenna will run for, heck, it'll probably run the entire race without power too. But so you have like 3 backups in there for the iPad. But that's what you run, 3.1 straight to the battery. Ryan W, best way to find the stolen vehicle, track the iPad. Yep. So we have a good buddy. He's like a big name dude, good dude, but he had his vehicle stolen with his truck and his UTV, and he had one of our iPads in it, and it was one of our demo units that he was using. And what's funny is we tracked, we didn't have cell, did we? No, we didn't have cell. After this happened, I was almost questioning. I was like, well, is it worth just getting a data plan for the iPad? Because if you have the data plan on the iPad, it's only like, I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks a month or something like that. But then you have a SIM chip, you have cell in your iPad. And if it got stolen, it's going to ping whenever it hits a cell network, it's going to be pinging. You'll be able to find it, right? Well, his wasn't set up like that. Sorry. His wasn't set up like that, but every time it hit a Wi-Fi hotspot, we could see it, and we tracked it. It got taken into Tijuana, and we saw it hit in a neighborhood. We saw it hit in a compound in a house, and we have some friends, some local friends, and they raided it, but we couldn't get the ping again. They raided the whole neighborhood, but we couldn't get the ping again because obviously it pinged and they flushed it or they killed it or something. But if we would have had cell on it, we could have tracked it the whole way through where they were taking it. Not just the end location where it hit a Wi-Fi hotspot. So anyway, thing to think about. I mean, yeah, if you put a cell chip in your iPad and just run a data plan, you can track your vehicle. And if somebody's dumb enough not to throw the iPad away, you're going to track the vehicle and the iPad wherever it goes live in a cell environment as soon as it's hit cell network. So anyway, yeah, best way to find a stolen vehicle. The other thing we do with the Iridium Go is the hotspots. We'll set them to ping mode and we'll bury them in the car somewhere, like in the trunk or in the glove or under the dash, and those are pinging out as well. And that's satellite. It'll ping anywhere. Every 5 minutes it'll ping, just like a race tracker would. So we do that with those too. Like if we leave our chase truck sitting somewhere overnight, we'll stash that go somewhere in it, pinging in case somebody steals a truck. We can go find it. Anyway, power 3.1 motor power. I can pull that up on the store. Let's see here. And again, we have them up on the store. You can get these on Amazon. Where are they? $14. You definitely want to run one of these. Is what I'm talking about. Straight to the battery, or close to it. You don't want to put it in your fuse box, in other words, or splice it into a bunch of wires going to your light bar. And for power to the iPad, all the new iPads are USB-C. So we've been running these braided Mofis straight from Apple. And I don't sell these, so they're not on our store, but you can go get them at Apple. You can order them from Apple. They'll be there in like 2 days. But it's the Mofi USB-A to USB-C, because we're still running the iPad comes with the USB-C to USB-C, but there is no real good USB-C charger for a vehicle. They all suck. So we still run the Moto Power USB-A to USB-C. This is braided, and these things have been awesome. I mean, they're keeping the iPad charged. We had a lot of issues with aftermarket cables. A lot of companies swear that they have the Apple chips in the cable. I mean, there's chips in these cables, and if it's not communicating well with the iPad, a lot of these aftermarket cables won't keep the iPad charged. Even though they say Apple compliant on them or whatever, they won't do it. So we've always stuck to the actual Apple cables, but Mofi is a direct partner with Apple, and this cable that we found, USB-A to C, and it's braided, has been doing awesome. So I don't have those on the store, but I can it's this guy right here. I gotta figure out, I think I can put a link to in here. I won't try that yet. Not that advanced. And what else? Anti-glare. Everybody, you can't see it. The screen's too shiny. Shiny screen. You can go on Amazon, get the Super Shields 3-pack. It's a film. It's the anti-glare film. It's hard to find anti-glare because nobody wants it. They want the nice high def so they can watch movies on their iPad. But this is the best one we've been using. We've been using this brand for, heck, 5 years. Super Shields. This right here, Amazon. Be at your door overnight. Slap these on your iPad. And it helps with the glare a lot. Also helps a little bit with impact. Cases, overheating. Cases. We used to run, the best case in the world off the shelf was the LifeProof Nude case. The NUUD case. Best case ever made for the, for everybody, right? Off the shelf. Best case they ever made. It was great because it was waterproof. It was slim, and it did not have any built-in screen protection. And we would run these with it. Because the problem is all these OtterBox Defender cases and all these other cases that sell the screen protection built into them, the plastic on the actual screen built into the case, that thing will be scratched up in a day. You won't be able to see the iPad. It will be it'll be, once the screen's done, the whole case is done. And with the LifeProof, we used to be able to just peel the film off after a race and put a fresh one on. It looked like new. But all the OtterBox cases, those Defender cases that they love with the built-in screens, they're done after one Baja 1000. I mean, throw it away. The other thing is, with the screen protection on them, it's fully enclosed. And the iPad basically acts as a greenhouse at that point. So when you heat the iPad up in the sun, it stays heated up for a long time. It never airs out. So in those OtterBox cases, if you're running one, you just got to be careful. Keep that thing in the shade, because if you leave it in the sun and leave it bake, the iPad's going to get hot. It's going to time out because it's too hot. It's electronics. And you can say what you will, like, oh, Lowrance will keep running, but the Lowrance should probably time out too. It's electronics, but it's not smart enough to. And when you see all these crashes and bugs and stuff with that too, and you're, in 200-degree cockpit heat in the lake bed in the summer, they're both not going to do well. So the big thing is to keep ahead of it. If you're sitting at the starting line, it's hot. Don't just leave it sit there baking in sun. Put one of your dust rags over it. A lot of times in like KOH for the Jeeps bodies, we'll actually mount the iPads up high like a visor to keep the glare and the sun off of them, because those vehicles are more open. There's a lot more sun coming into them. So we'll put them up high like a visor to keep that heat down. But that's the thing with those OtterBox cases everybody's running now. It's going to bake. Once you let it get hot, it's going to be a greenhouse. It's going to take forever to cool off. That's, the LifeProof cases, back to LifeProof case, the best case ever made. They, OtterBox bought out LifeProof, and then they basically stopped making LifeProof nude cases. So OtterBox just bought out their competition and continued to make junk cases and shut down the LifeProof nude cases that we all loved. So, is what it is. Our EXO cases, which I know not everybody can have an EXO case. I tell you the truth, I couldn't afford an EXO case. But I build about 100 of these max a year, these cases. They all are built towards our big contracts, like folks buying 10 units and like 2 years of training, and they're fairly large contracts. And then we build these EXOs. And then I try to sell about 50 of them to individual race teams. I'll put them up at the store like we have now. But anyway, there's other case options too like this, but we leave the whole back of the iPad open for a reason. We let the aluminum housing of the iPad cool itself down. So, and there's no screen protection built into it. It's wide open in the back. It's aluminum housing. We used to anodize our aluminum cases. Anodizing became a pain. I mean, folks that build anything, that dealing with anodizers, they tell you it'll be a week, 5 weeks later, and then they come back, they look like crap. And we just got tired of dealing with anodizers, and they were slowing us down. So we started Cerakoting, spray Cerakoting the cases by hand. We did it because, first of all, it looked a lot better. We could get it done in-house. But the thing we didn't anticipate was that the Cerakote is a ceramic coating. So it's actually like we used to touch the anodized metal iPad cases, the EXOs, the Gen 1s and 2s. And if you left those bake in the sun, they would be like a frying pan, like hot, right? Since we started Cerakoting them, they don't get hot because it's a ceramic coating. It keeps the aluminum cool. So you have that, and then the air hitting the back. As soon as you start moving, even if it's baked and timed out, as soon as you start moving, some air gets over it, it cools right off and fires up. So that's what we do with our cases. But again, there's other case options out there. I just think about that. If you're going to run like an OtterBox or a Pelican case, just know that once it gets hot, it's going to take longer to cool off. So put it somewhere, protect it. When you're pre-running, you go in for a beer or a taco for lunch break, maybe take the iPad with you, just unscrew it, take it with you. That's what we do. And we sit in there thinking about our next pre-run section. Don't let it sit in the car baking. And if it is in the car, put a rag over it or something like that to keep it in the shade. And it's not an issue. What else? I don't know if anybody else has came in this rambling session, but you know, the main thing is I put out all the work into the GPS file. It's up on the store. There's a code in the chat. I'll put it in here again. If you use the code, I think some folks are using it. If you use the code on checkout, it's free. Otherwise, tomorrow it's going to be like $200. So that code will be running for until like 2 in the morning Eastern time. So after this or whenever you want, you can go grab it. And you can get the GPS file downloaded with all the notes in it and the maps. What else? Warm in here now. I've turned my AC off during this. Keep the noise down in the background. That's honestly all I'm going to cover. I mean, this has been going for what, 52 minutes? We had a 10-minute intro just sitting, but I think I'm going to call it there unless anybody has anything. All right. My goal is, I mean, this is Baja 1000. This is the busiest freaking few weeks of the year for me. So my goal is, after the dust settles from all this, is to kind of start doing these videos like every Thursday or Friday, do one, a live. And I want to put out more videos on the actual training videos to the public. And kind of balance the live as a Q&A and then start cranking out training videos. I wanted to do a pre-running course this year, but that kind of got, with everything going on, that got bumped to the right. So my goal is in the spring to hopefully go out west, knock out some pre-running videos, and put together a course for just pre-running online. But what else? Looks good. Jeez. That's it. I knocked out all my post-its of things I wanted to talk about. But the file, see here. I'll close out with this for folks that come into this later. The file, if you go to the website, first of all, if you go to the website, some people just can't find the store. But if you go to leadnavsystems.com, obviously you can get the app. If you're just new to this and you're figuring out what the heck's going on here, you can go get the app in the app store. The subscriptions are handled in the app. That's all. Okay. I got hit up like 20 times this week from new users asking about their subscriptions, asking about, you know, how to activate the app, how to do that. Like, Apple controls all of that. So you go to the App Store with your iTunes account, you buy Leadnav GPS. In the app, under settings, is the subscriptions. You go ahead and purchase the Pro Pack subscription. If you're racing, you're going to get the Pro Pack. And Leadnav handles all that that distribution between your devices under that iTunes account. So we have no control over that. So I just want to get that clear. So don't hit me up about your subscription, or, you know, it's all handled on your device. But if you go here to the hardware, down here under race events, you can see I put up the Baja 1000 race package. And for folks that come asking me tomorrow, that's what it's going to be. If you're watching this video and you use that discount code, that Leadnav live code on checkout with this, it'll be free. I'll put that in here one more time so people come in here. Checkout for free download. So yeah, if you go to the store and you've been paying attention for the past week, I figure I'm just going to give this to you because at least you're trying. And I know you understand this a little bit. Hopefully you watch the other two videos because you are going to have to splice in the start and the finish to this. And if you're a sportsman person and you want to get this, you can make it work off of what I showed you the past week. You can cut this up, splice in the sportsman cuts. I showed you how to do that this week, but I did not do anything with the sportsman legs. This is just the pro leg. So, but it's up there, and if you use that code, it's free. So, and anybody else that wants that, I have this discount code set to work till I think 2 a.m. Eastern time, which is what? 10, 12, another 4 hours. So even after I shut this video down, I'm going to leave the video up. It'll work for another 4 hours for anybody that's watching this video after I close out. You see that code, it'll work for 4 hours. And if this chat window doesn't show up for you, the code is literally Leadnav, all caps, live, all caps, Leadnav live. You put that in at checkout, you'll get the whole race package for free. Again, hopefully in the future, I don't even have to put this out and it's free. If Score just puts out the GPS file, I could have done all this work that I did in the past 24 hours, hand jamming this in. I could have done in 5 minutes, and that would have been way cheaper. But I literally spent over 24 hours hand jamming that in. So, and anybody else coming in that I put out that the map MB tiles are part of that too. It's the same imagery that you'd get saving on your device, but it makes it a little bit easier on you. But all right, so this one's at an hour. I think that's good. Nobody has anything. Appreciate everybody that's checked in and watched these videos the past week. Out.